Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Untitled Chapter here, aka the best dressed man in tech sales. Do not forget it. Now, in today's video, what we're going to talk about is what is the number one sales question that you should ask in your discovery call to not only extract the challenge that your customer is facing and the number one priority that they're trying to go after, but also a question that will help differentiate you and stop you from sounding like 99% of other sales reps on the planet. So, with that said, let's get into the video so you can understand what this question is. All right, guys, so before we get into the specific question, I just want to provide some context. There are tons, and I mean tons, of lists out there on the internet. If you Google top sales questions to ask, disco questions to ask in your sales meeting, there's so many questions out there. But here's the thing. A lot of those questions are played out. Other reps have been using them for years, and they create a conditioned response within our prospect. What's a conditioned response? Think about it. Have you ever been shopping in a shoe store, or any store for that matter? You walk in the store, the sales associate goes, "Hey, is there anything I can help you find today? Or is there anything in particular you're looking for?" What do you immediately say? I guarantee with 99% certainty that you say, "No, just looking." Because I used to sell shoes and I used to get that all the time. And I know that when we use common language, it evokes a conditioned response by the listener. So we need to do our best to sound different than other folks, avoid the conditioned response, and we do that by asking uncommon questions like the one I'm about to give you right now. All right, guys, so instead of asking the question like, what are you working on? Or what are your priorities? Or tell me about your top challenges and initiatives today. No. We want to stay away from those questions. Instead, we just want to ask them, hey, what is the number one outcome that your boss expects you to produce in the next 12 months? A couple things to break down about this question. Number one, we talk about outcomes, okay? Outcomes are different than initiatives or projects because those things tend to be more tactical, right? When we talk about outcomes are big picture ideas that are very easy to understand, and outcomes are also the language of the C-level. Okay, when I say C-level, I'm talking about CEOs, CMOs, CIOs, whoever you sell to, okay? And if we're able to articulate outcomes, we are in a better position to communicate the value of what we're selling or what we're providing, because we can easily say, hey, if you buy this, or should you decide to partner with us, we will help you achieve XYZ outcome. That's the first thing we want to point out here. The second thing we do with this question is we put some attention on their boss, all right? By doing this, we force them not to think about just what they care about, but to think about what the person above them cares about. And let's say you're talking to the CEO, you're like, CEO doesn't have a boss, they're the boss. Ask them what the board expects them to produce in the next 12 months, because everyone has a boss. And even if you are the owner of the company, your customers expect something of you. So always try to go one level up when you ask them about their priorities. The final thing we do with this question is we put a timestamp on it, right? We say, what are they expecting you to produce in the next 12 months, all right? This forces them to think about, okay, in my evaluation, a year from now, what is the thing, what are the outcomes that my boss is gonna expect of me? And it forces them to give a clear, concrete response, because in most cases, they know that, right? If you ask them a vague question like, what are your challenges, your pain points? They don't really know that off the top of their head. And also, it's not information that people are willingly wanting to admit to folks right away, especially not complete strangers, right? But they often know, in more cases than not, what their boss is expecting of them, right? Because when they got hired, or when they got this promotion, or whenever they got this job, they were probably told and had a serious conversation with their boss, like, hey, this is what we're expecting of you. This is what we want to see. And if you produce these outcomes, you will attain this, and this reward, right? So we give them better guidance in terms of the information that we want by giving them this timestamp, by putting the boss on it, right? And then also talking about outcomes. So those are the three things I wanted to point out with this specific question. Now, what do we ask after that, right? We ask this great question, and let's say they tell us, okay, well, in the next 12 months, my boss is expecting me to improve revenue or increase revenue by 13% with these three products. Okay, now you're like, whoa, okay, cool. We got the outcome, great. But now what do we say? What we want to say at this point is very simple. What's hard about that? Or you can also ask, what's going to be the hardest part when it comes to achieving that? And let them talk. Ask them. See what they say. You can ask really any variation of that question. So again, what's hard about that? what's going to be the hardest part of attaining that metric, or you can even ask what's stopping you from getting that done. All right, but those are some of the follow-ups that we can ask immediately once they share the outcome with us. And the reason we want to ask that is because that is where we're going to extract the pain, okay? Once we get answers to those questions, that's going to give us the challenge associated with this outcome that can allow us to see if there's an opportunity for our product or service to eliminate these challenges, remove these obstacles, and help them get that outcome in place. Now, after we ask about the pain and ask about what's hard about that, the next thing that we want to ask is, what do you think is the best way to make that happen? Or you can ask some kind of variation of that question. Maybe you say, what's your plan to make that happen, right? And this is going to help you extract the existing belief that the prospect or client has about the best way to get this done. And you want to do this for a couple of reasons. The reason we want to ask them, hey, what do you see as the best way to get this done, or the best way to achieve that metric or to achieve this outcome, is because we want to extract the existing belief that they have in their head about the best way to get this done. We want to do this because in psychology there's something called confirmation bias. And what this tells us is that people are more likely to believe a expression, idea, or whatever it is that aligns with an existing belief. So for example, if I think dogs are better than cats, I'm always going to believe anything, any person, any information that confirms my belief that dogs are better than cats. So let's say this person has that outcome of, increasing revenue by 13%, and they say that they think the best way to do this is to hire some external firm to help them get some consulting in place, whatever it might be, right? Something like that. If you just happen to be a consulting firm, obviously you're going to agree with that sentiment, and it's going to be a much easier sell for you because they already think that that is a possible solution. Now, if they say something that's completely different from what you sell or your product or service can provide, you're going to know immediately that's going to be an uphill battle, and you're going to have to do some persuasion to get them to open up a little bit about a new way to solve this problem. Now, if that's the case, and they do have a wildly different way or idea of how to solve this problem, the question that you can ask is, hey, would you be open to other ideas about how we could potentially solve this problem? And this is going to crack the shell a little bit and get them to be a little more open in terms of other ideas and ways that they could be helped. So there you have it, guys. That is not only the number one sales question I recommend you ask at the start of your disco calls, but some follow-up questions you can ask as well to extract pain and understand the way that they see the best way to solve this problem. So with that said, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got some value from it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button below. Also, if you're not doing so already, go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn. And last but not least, if you are trying to break into tech sales, or you're already in sales and you want to sharpen your skills, learn how to differentiate yourself from other sellers, go ahead and check out the B2B Syndicate, see what we got cooking up over there. All right, with that said, guys, hope you enjoy, and I will catch you all in the next video. Take it easy now.